Hello, and welcome back to Horrifically Well Read, Bled, and Said. It is my pleasure today to introduce my friend Renee Thomasin. She is an amazing author and stylish diva, if I do say so myself. I'm always interested in what she's wearing. She's an amazing teacher in the community, too, and just overall doing some really awesome projects. And today we're going to talk about her new short story that is out, Pixel Perfect. Is that correct, Renee?
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Yes, yes. So the imagery on the front of this book, I feel like everyone is like, it is spot on of just like how gorgeous it just draws you in. So I love that for you. So how much design coverage did you get to like pick on that, or how much
Well,
influence did you get?
I saw that Drew Huff had some pre-made covers and I was just obsessed with that one. I thought it was so beautiful and I thought, okay, this could work really well with the short story. And so I said, I'd like it. And she worked on customizing it and I picked out the text and stuff, but really the font and the colors were already like amazing. So that was basically as is and then just changing, what it said.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, so basically you saw it and you're like, yeah, that's mine. I'll be taking
Yes.
that. Thank you.
Yep. And at the time I wasn't sure if I was going to self-publish the story or not because I originally had it set aside for this charity anthology, but when I reached out to those in charge, it was totally fine. I said, I just think that I want to self-publish this. I think that's the good move for me right now, just to put some of my own writing out there outside of the Twisted Tales. So Jude was really cool about that. And I talked to Nadine Stewart about it. And so, but I saw the cover and I thought, oh my gosh, like I have to have this. I don't know what it's for yet, but I'm going to buy it.
I love it. I love that. I mean, what a great intention that you're like, I'm not sure what, but I need it. Like, did you feel that like calling within yourself, like that burning of like, I have to have this?
Yes, because I love pink. And outside of, pink horror that my dear friend Wendy Dalrymple is a champion
Yeah.
for, I just love, I mean, that's my favorite color, right? And so I thought that it would fit the Y2K vibe. And it's a little misleading, right? Because it seems very poppy and fun, and the story is not fun.
Well, okay. When we started our recording here, you have an amazing display behind you from like a Lisa Frank backpack and gem and just this cover. I'm like, yeah, okay. I see Renee all over this. Like it
Yeah.
makes total sense. So love that. And you're right. Like the story, I would say the story is like a lot of like, fun in terms of like taking a trip down memory lane, the nostalgia. You really captured if you lived through that period in like as a teenager of like late 90s 2000, sort of
Hmm.
time frame. Renee, I mean, felt like I was in a back to the future moment here. I was like, you really were able to nail it well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was too heavy handed, but then I also felt like I wanted to include enough elements to really paint the setting of where Kate was coming from.
Oh, I didn't think it was heavy-handed at all. I actually was like, I'm digging all these things. So like at certain points you have like AIM chat rooms and or I guess it would have been AIM, right? That's how we would
Yeah.
have said it, not
Mm-hmm.
AIM. It's just AIM. And, I was like, "Shoot, what's Kate's screen name?" And just, like, looking at how we wrote these and just the verbiage that you had to learn to be able to use AIM at that time, G2G, TTYL, and all of that fun stuff of, just I really, dug it. But it was there when you were younger and using a chat room yourself at this time, like, was there ever any, like, acronyms that came across where you're like, "I absolutely no idea what they're asking or like things you had to just remember fondly of like learning how to use AIM.
Well, I remember learning ASL for the first
Yes.
time. Yeah. I
Agent
lived on
echolocation.
before I had AIM and I was on AIM. Oh my gosh. My usernames, I still remember some of them. Please don't ask me where this came from because I have no idea. But one of them was Funky Candy Girl, GRL, and another one was Superstar Renee. So that kind of tracks.
I love it.
But before that, we didn't have a computer until I think like 98. And so my friend down the street, her dad was big into computers and he had the internet. And so we would go on different chat rooms and things. That was my first exposure. And then I just, yeah, I mean, I I assume you're probably the same way. I lived on AIM. So as soon as I got home from school, like booted up the family computer, or then like a few years later when I was in high school, we moved it into my room and AIM was just open all the time, just chatting.
Mm. I'm assuming you didn't have any siblings?
I have a younger sister. So I did have a brother who passed when he was 9 and I was 12. So I had the computer at that point. But then I had
Okay.
a sister who was born a year later. We're 13 years apart. So she wasn't, on there
She's
at
not
all.
dominating the computer, yes.
Nope. Nope. Just me.
Well, yeah, well, I'm sorry to hear about your brother.
No, it's okay.
And, having that huge, gap between you and your sister makes it that, you're able to just really have control. So, no, I was not able to have mine open all the time because I have an older brother, but I had 2, younger brothers, 2.5 and 3.5 years apart. So it was, like,
Okay.
always fighting over,
Fighting.
"Get off," and it's like, you know and then it's like, "Oh my god, I was downloading this song on LimeWire," which you also harken back nicely to the LimeWire,
Mhm.
um, which was just awesome. I mean, it's like, it blows my mind, like, just even how it would just be hours of hours, like, to download, and we were just like, "Yeah, in 12 hours, 9 hours, I'll have this. This is great."
Yeah. I shared
And it
that fact
really
with my
was like
students recently.
What'd you say?
Said I shared that fact with my students recently because I teach 10th grade and I brought in my entire CD collection. So through every move I've ever been on, every flood, etc., my CDs have gone in my car and they've survived. And so I
Amazing.
showed them the whole collection, most of it. Some, I lost on the way or whatever, but I showed them a burned CD I had from 2000 and a high school friend. She was the first one at our school to get DSL. And so she was, like, taking orders to make mixtapes and then burning the CDs, and I had to, allow grace that, of course, the student would ask me this because how would he possibly know? He literally thought I meant put fire on it, and I said, "No, no, 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 no. I just meant to, like, put music onto the
Oh
CD
my
and the CD
god.
tr."
Right!
But, yeah, and so I didn't have the fast internet until I was in high school. So, right, going back to what you're saying, I would just once everyone was done using the phone, it was Renee's could be on the computer. That's, like, when I could keep it open, but
Exactly.
and just keep it on all night for what, 12 hours to get one song or whatever. It was crazy.
And it was, like, the best thing ever when it came through. You're
Oh my
so
gosh.
freaking pleased.
I miss it.
I
I
love
honestly
that.
miss that era. Like, yes, we have streaming on Tidal and Spotify or
Yes.
whatever, but I lived for making playlists and burning CDs,
Yes.
and I miss it. I do.
And it was such a gift if someone was, like, giving you a song or giving you, like, burned CD or mixtape, like,
Oh, yeah.
just so special and, like, yeah, what a love language itself there. I love that that terminology of burn was so normal, and now it's like, what are you talking about? It's like that lingo is like, it's just such an outdated technology. It's like,
From the
are you putting
lost
fire on it?
times.
Yes, I love it. Hilarious. So let's get into the book a little bit. Or I should say the short story a little bit. So we're around 18 pages
Mhm.
or so. And the story really is, I think, to tee it up, is so pertinent to this time right now. And I had said that to you in like a DM that everything going on with like looking at the cast of Wicked and how their bodies are. I mean, it's like back to the heroin chic, emaciated look. And so the story really takes place like surrounding a lot of that Y2K culture of, you and I were saying the Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen and, just being thin to the point of unhealthy and sick and your bones showing was
Oh,
valuable. I I just think this story is it's wonderful in and of itself, but especially the timing that you're putting it out, like, there's oftentimes this concept that, like, an idea wants to be born or wants to be shared, and I feel like you selecting to put this out at this time is so important because we're looking again now at that original Y2K culture where being heroin chic, being that emaciated, thin look was considered beauty, healthy, and the utmost in desirability and the utmost of like female value. And so we've gone through like the BBL culture and accepting bodies and all these things, and now it's like the low rise jeans are coming back again, and we're looking at things with the Wicked cast where they're so thin to the point that you're seeing rib cages and clavicles, and exactly what a scapula and all these things look like of the anatomy terms, because I mean It's so thin. And so this story really focuses in on bodies and the behaviors that happen in that Y2K of the way specifically female bodies were viewed. So I would love for you to share a little bit about it, but I just am saying to our listeners that it couldn't be more timely as we're watching these things kind of recycle and come up again. And I think we're going to see more of it. So tell us a little intro of how you would pitch your story, and then we'll get into some more questions about it.
Sure. Well, I would agree. It's very timely, and unfortunately, it's something that and I said this to you offline, but it's something I've carried with me since I was about 10 years old, 9 or 10 years
Mm,
old. Um, and just to be clear, just like to listeners, like this isn't about, shaming thin bodies at all. It's more about the dangers that exist in that online community where things become very toxic. And then this like yearning to achieve some sort of body shape that is just not yours. And it's eating disorder culture.
I
And
really
yeah,
like how you say that, and the reason I wanna just, like, step in here for a quick second is to say, some people are incredibly naturally thin, and,
absolutely.
I've had 2 exchange students that eat so much food. I mean, anything and everything they want, and they're both, like, a 2 and a 4, and I mean, they eat, they pile it in. That's just how they're made, right? Versus I couldn't do that. I just was built with, like, the German heritage of, like, baby, if we're putting this in, we're saving it, you know? And that's just how I was made, right? But this again, I'm just reiterating what we're saying. This isn't about shaming. This isn't saying this is about eating disorders and the toxicity and the lengths that you feel like you're willing to compromise yourself in order to be accepted. Would that be what
Mhm.
you would say? Okay.
Yeah, because people will say, "Oh, well, a real woman's body looks like this. Oh, that's a real woman." Well, no, like, we're all real women, right? Or whatever that
Mm,
means.
mm,
So yeah, it's about the toxicity. And so I would pitch the story as a young adult horror, right? Because she's a teenage protagonist in high school who is dealing with her own self-image issues that become exacerbated by a note that a bully leaves on her locker after a moment she performed in a talent show. And she was so free from those thoughts and she was really confident and then was brought back down by these words. And
mm.
so, in desperation to do better, to take up less space, to achieve that, she finds a friendship online and creates a deal with this friend to help them make a Thinspo blog and in return receive tips and tricks to become Thinspo herself. That's kind of the gist of it. It is a short story. And I do pull it from like a lot of my own life. I've always struggled with my weight. I was never a thin child. I was always bigger than the other kids, but back then that was smaller even too. But I didn't wear low-rise jeans because they didn't fit me.
Mhm.
And I was someone who went on the early internet and printed pictures and cut pictures out of tabloids and kept secret binders. And I searched the terms pro Anna and pro ED. And I did restrict and I worked hard, quote unquote, at the time to try and try and try to just become wow, okay, a little bit of emotions are coming up, but just to become someone who everyone else would think was good enough. And the thing is, I never really lost enough weight for people on the outside to notice that I was unhealthy or making these bad choices for
Oh my
myself.
gosh, yes.
And over time, that evolved into like a different sort of obsession. And I became a binge eater,
Oh my
a
gosh, yeah.
secret binge eater, which wasn't always secret as I put on more and
Mhm.
more weight. And at some point in my phase, after I found a better balance with working out and making healthy choices, I just said, okay, I still carry all of this weight with me, but it's not going to confine me, define me, or control me. And I just don't fucking care. I want to be healthy and happy, and I'm going to wear what I want to wear, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And I'm so tired of that thing taking up all of my mental energy. And so it is still like a physical struggle, but it's less of a mental one because it is I've heard someone say this before and I'm going to take it as my own words too. It is the least interesting thing about me.
Absolutely.
And so I dedicate this short story to my younger self because while I have lived a very full life and done a lot of things. I consider myself a little bit of a late bloomer, and there's pieces of current me who existed throughout up and down, right? But what if I was free from those like societal pressures and things? Like, what else would my energy have been poured into? What would I have done? And what would I have stopped caring about? And because it doesn't matter, you know? And so, anyways, this is a very like big
I didn't,
topic,
like,
but
expect you to, like, make me wanna cry talking about this because, like, you're talking about these things and I'm like, "Check, check, check." And then
yeah,
you're
it's so
like, "I
universal.
consider
And that's
myself
so
a little bit
crappy.
of a late bloomer," and I'm like, "Same." And I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, I'm having the experience that I think a teenage girl's having where I'm like, oh, I love wearing this. This makes me feel so good." Like, just didn't have any of that, you
No,
know? Like,
no.
I think even now, like, I always get like comments from people of like, wow, I didn't, I wouldn't have like, I wouldn't have picked like, especially in like a professional thing, like, oh, I wouldn't have picked to wear that, but like, that looks really nice on you. Or like, wow, you're always dressed so like, you always wear such like loud colors or like, you never are afraid to wear prints and like, and it's not coming across as like disingenuous. It's like a genuine, like, I love this on you today.
Mhm.
And how many women are like, I think I might actually start wearing some of that now. Like I just have been too, maybe I should just wear black, right? Let me just
Mhm.
blend in. And
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore because I mean, you said it perfectly. It's like, fuck it. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? This makes me happy. I like this jewelry, I like these, this dress. I like this print. I like these shoes. And like, I feel really happy. And I think that's why when I look at you and without ever having known any of this till we're talking about right now, I look at you as like, I love every time I'm like, oh, what's her accessories going to be? What's her glasses going to be? Like,
Oh, so
because, and I
so
love that
sweet.
because I feel like it's so authentic to who you are and it's fun and it feels good, but you radiate like a level of happiness when I look at the choices of clothing that, you're wearing. And that's really what it is for me. It's like, I will be in my closet and I'm like, no, that color doesn't resonate with me today. Like I need to feel like this today. And you know, I know that for some people, like maybe the beiges or whatever it is feel really good for me. Being able to just try out different styles and see what is for me has been really a journey from right around like COVID
Okay.
timeframe.
Yeah.
And it's very freeing, right? Because the selection of clothing has changed is the biggest thing, right? Because I couldn't, it was like years ago, it was like, why don't you go to this store and because you're this size, why don't you go ahead and wear bird on your shirt? It's like,
Right. You can only go to
what
Lane
the
Bryant or Fashion Bug
actual
today.
fuck? Yeah. And so now it's like, and the thing is for me, like I'm like at 18 now, right? And I feel
Mhm.
like that's anywhere from okay, you can wear some double XL for certain things. You can wear, like it just I'm in that like in between of like the high
Yeah.
end of straight sizes to plus sizes. And at the same time, like I really like my body. Like and I like how strong I am because I did focus on that. Like if it's like, hey, let's go hike, let's go walk, let's go swim, let's move all these heavy things around the garden. Like let's do all this. Like I can keep up. Like, and it's funny because I look at when you said it used to take up all the space in your brain, like, okay, not only during the time frame that you're talking about with the whites, but also like several years ago, like before the keto fad really hit, like I got heavily into keto and the amount of mental space that it took up and just did I lose weight? Yes, but I was like, it was like my whole identity, my whole personality, and it sucked, right? And just
Yeah.
counting the macros and all this stuff, right? And so what I found out there is I'm going to try to think of this term, but it's like it's called oh my gosh, it's like thin on the outside, a tofi, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. And it means like your organs or these people that can just eat whatever they want, however they want, where it's like societally, they look like thin, healthy people, but on the inside, they don't. And it's amazing to me how many people like, I'll say like like one of my older brothers, like he runs every day. He works out every day. He does all this stuff, but he's on more medication than like I am. He has so many health things. And but if someone were to look at him and look at me, they'd be like, she's a fat pig, is what I feel
Mhm.
like I hear in my head. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, or the fat Britney or whatever. And I think that's because that, and I'm like, no, like I really do eat well and I do take care of myself and I work really hard for these things, but it's just, the way my body is built, there's a lot of assumptions that can be made about how
For
you care
sure.
for yourself,
For
right?
sure. A
That's
lot
what
of
I'm trying to say.
assumptions. Yeah. And
And so
it's
when
okay
you
to take up space and it's okay to be in a bigger body and like,
yeah,
you can carry fat on your body and still have all these other metrics. And so yeah, it's about assumptions and perception. And now it's more like, okay, well, I want to focus on strength training because I'm going to be entering menopause and I want to be able
yep,
to like, I don't know, get
yep,
off the ground in 15 years.
exactly.
And like know what your body can do and be powerful. And if only that was like part of the messaging back then, right? It was more about if your pant size is a certain number, then you have passed, right? And you meet the expectation of being good enough. Like that's your value. And it's like, God. And now we have like it was bad enough then. And now our young people with social media, like it's
Yeah. Well, I
worse
feel
in some
really
ways.
positive that like my girls are like, clothes are meant to fit you. You're not meant to fit clothes.
Yeah.
And, I was taking out Francesca to go shopping the other day, my talent exchange student, and I had bought pants for Annabelle at Ross, and I brought home pants, and she didn't like the one pair, and she kept the other pair, and they were sevens. And I said to Francesca, I'm like, would you like to try these on and see if they fit? And she goes, yeah. Like, and she tries one. She's like, yeah, I really like them. They fit. Like, I'll keep them. So then we went out shopping the other day and we went into the one store, the American Eagle, and she wanted to try on this denim skirt. She picks up a 00. She goes in and that fits. And I'm like, Francesca, how can a 00 here fit? And then a pair of sevens at Ross fit? I mean, that's wild, right? Like the
That's I know that
fluctuations.
like why can't it all be uniform and the same?
I'm just saying, like, that's why it's so important to say, like, pick the clothes for how it's constructed that it flatters your body. No one knows your number inside of your pants, right?
Right. And don't
It's like,
don't give it that power to
I feel so grateful to have this conversation with you because it's such a healing thing. And even with you saying like, okay, she's doing the talent show and she feels amazing. And I think about how, um, I was a majorette and I loved doing it. But, as my body started changing and, things like that. And I was like, you wear these really skin tight clothes, uniforms to, be in the parade and whatever. And I was like,
Mhm.
I feel uncomfortable with this. Now, was I like a big girl at the time? No, but I just felt like I wasn't as thin as some of these. So I stopped after like 5, 6 years of doing it. I stopped and I was like, okay, I'm going to do cheerleading full time. And I put my whole time and effort into it. And I was like, and at this time I was like a 10, 12. Okay. So that was the size. And it was like completely normal for the cheerleading coach to be like, wow, I don't even know if we have a skirt big enough to fit you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like during the uniforms. And I'm like, okay. And yet you picked me because I tried out and I could dance really well because I had done dance for, what I mean?
Yeah.
I did all the things. I just wasn't the body type, right? But myself and another girl would always get picked. And some of these freaking people would be like, whether it be during the tryouts of like, why did they get picked? They're so fat. Like as if that was a disqualifier because they
Mhm.
were not as technically capable and to perform stunts or any of these things. But because we were fat, we should have automatically been disqualified. And then, hearing, the football team be like, yeah, it sucks that we don't have hot cheerleaders. I mean, it was like, it really resonated. And I'm like, that's that's it. Like, that's all. Like, I've always been a pretty girl, I've always
Yeah.
been a
And then
talented,
that
like,
just is what you remember, and, like, that's the stuff that sticks.
I'm like, that's it. And so I feel like maybe that's why I feel like it's the late bloomer now because all these people that used to say this stuff, I'm like, y'all are haggard. Like, y'all are looking rough. And I'm in my like bloom phase here of like, I'm having a good time. Like, I'm trying out hairstyles that I like. I'm living my best life right now. And I'm enjoying it. And I'm kind of like, sometimes I'm like, Renee, I'm glad I didn't peak then, Like, I'm
Yeah.
enjoying the constant, but that doesn't leave you when you hear those
No.
things and you're like, that's all. And I think it pushed me further into being like, you know what? I don't really even want to lose any more weight. Like I went through different phases of it of just being like, fuck it. Because I always had a boyfriend and things like that, but I was like, I don't want someone that just picks me off of that. That's like the most shallow and like I think at that time I was like so vapid and like just wasn't for me, right? But I do remember my senior year when you say like, the ED and like I would always be trying to like 10th grade I did like a whole binge thing. And I remember crying to my dad and saying, I did all these things and blah, blah, and then I ate 2 Butterfingers and next day the scale dropped. And it was almost like because I gave myself like it was like, okay, you're not starving yourself anymore, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
we took myself out of famine. But I did that whole what the heck was it? Oh my God. It was on the market, like it was taken off. It was a diet pill.
Phentermine or fen-phen?
Yes, I was gonna say
Yeah.
yeah, that one. And I ran every day at the track. Like I went down to like, I slimmed down and I looked beautiful for prom. But oh my God, I ate nothing. Anything that had more than 3 grams of fat, I was like, I'm not eating it. If it like it was not healthy. And I love that concept that you just said of nobody could tell the terrible things I was doing or the way I was treating myself because I hadn't lost enough weight for someone to go, "Uh-oh, she's harming herself."
Yeah, it was all, like, secret. And, now I'm glad I'm more in a focus of, like, what feels good and fuels me, and, that includes movement, and that always ebbs and flows, and I have to come to terms that, like, that's just how it's gonna be for me, but that at when I open the story with Fat Britney, that is a real experience, and but it's a couple of years younger, so in my life, it was middle school, and in the story, I don't really quite say it, but she's a high schooler, ninth grader, I think. My brother had passed away in the fall, and I heard side note, I have this idea, and I don't know if this sounds silly, but, like, Britney Spears helped heal a lot of my grief during this time, and I think that's why I love, like, Britney and part of the Y2K music and stuff, but I heard
Yeah.
I heard Baby One More Time for the first time, and then we traveled out of state, so we weren't home for Christmas that year, and I got the CD single, and I listened to it nonstop from the drive from New York back to Florida, and I told my 2 friends, I said, "Listen, there's gonna be a talent show. We're gonna learn this dance, and we're gonna do it." And we practiced all the time, and I worked so hard, and it was in the spring, and I was so proud of myself, and I wore, like, the outfit from the music video, and then people were, like, so excited, and then I remember going to the locker room the next day, and this 8th grader said, "Oh, look, it's Fat Britney," and people were kinda laughing and stuff, and I just thought, "Okay, I get it." All of that, and then that's what I'm left with, and I kinda, like, shook it off a bit, but it was a very formative part of my life where those unhealthy behaviors with food really sort of picked up, and, like, there's other things, right? I was dealing with grief and things, but that part is real, and that was, like, the first image that came to mind when I wrote the story, that I wanted to use that, and so um, yeah, like, it just one of those things, it's just that's what
Oh
you
my
remember,
God.
and that sticks with you, and,
I'm just tearing up here, Renee. Like,
well,
that's
you
awful. Like,
know,
here you listen to it the whole time. You're envisioning yourself. I'm sure the performance was awesome. Like, did you kill it? Did you have the best time doing it?
I think I loved it. It's what I thought I might want to do, like, I was super about it, and then, you know what? We rebounded, and the next year we did Bye Bye Bye, by NSYNC, and that was fun.
Wonderful.
I mean,
Wait a
I
minute. Now
lived it.
that's awesome. That's an important part of the story. You were like, fuck it. I'm doing it again.
I was delulu about it. I mean, we had, like, do you remember the personality pictures you would take at school? Like, not the yearbook one, but, like, I don't know if your school had that. It was, like, group photos you could do.
I didn't. Tell me more.
Okay, so, like, the photographer would come and you could do, like, personality photos. So you might take a picture with your friends or, like, one friend or by yourself. And so I made my friends wear the outfits to school and, we took pictures. I still have them. We took pictures that way, and then I would wear, like, the pigtails and the pink poofs just, like, for fun. I was really trying to become
Oh
a
my
main
God.
character,
So cute. So
but,
cute.
so yeah. So, yeah, that just sort of was part of the inspiration, and then I just thought, like, well, like, how far would someone go, and, like, what is the danger of engaging with these people online? And yeah, that's how the story came to be. I wanna reference something if you don't mind.
I don't.
Have you read the book of essays, Why I Love Horror yet?
I haven't with
Okay.
Becky. No, I haven't.
Yes, Spratford, right?
Hmm.
So I read it on the plane recently, coming back from New York, and I, no surprise, really loved Rachel Harrison's essay. And
Hmm.
I just want to read this small little part because, of course, I'd already written my story at this time, but this is why it resonated with me. And I told her so much. I told her as much. I said, I just related so much to your essay. And here's a quote. How much bland, watery light yogurt did I shovel into my mouth thinking that's what I needed to do to feel good about myself, to be accepted by society? How much time and energy did I dedicate to making myself smaller, to taking up less space? Too much. And I can never get it back. It breaks my heart. It makes me so angry. I could scream. And I
Wow.
just,
Wow.
yeah, I was like tearing up on the plane and it just really resonated with me. And I think there's so much as you all have discussed on your show, and I'm learning in the community and reading other people's work, like so much of our experience is already real life horror. And we don't have to make it up, right? Because it lives in it's real life.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that any type of, and Adam's obviously not joining us on this particular one right now, but I know that for him, like you don't even have to be female to have had this, right? Where,
No, yeah.
he's, fluctuated all his life up and down. And he's like, it's very much that feeling of, when you don't live up to whatever societal expectation and the minimization or try to not draw attention to yourself or whatever, but and you don't have to even be like, I'm thinking that you could be even a societally acceptable size, but the amount of effort and time it consumes in your brain can still be there, right? You could be like, you look and you fit in, but what does that look like for maintenance?
Yeah.
You know, like that, you know what I mean? I think everybody has their own little version of, okay, I want to be accepted. Also, just like, want to just go back to like, where do you think that eighth grader is now? Do you think they ever remember saying that? Do you think they still behave like that? Do you think that was just a youthful thing? Do you think that person still acts like that? Like, it
Well,
just always
I can tell you
curious.
that they did not make the best choices with their life. And in my small town, that often looks like some pretty serious addiction and some other issues. And yeah, I think I'm in a better place right now.
Yeah, and it's like part of me makes it like I go into, do I think that they said those things because they were hurting? And not
Yes.
that that makes it right in any capacity, but is it like, okay, this is how I'm going to get some laughs. I'm going to get some respect. I'm going to take out my frustrations at home on someone else, or this is an easy target, or I don't know.
I would
But
say that's right.
you're not
I think that like
processing that at ninth grade, 10th grade, you're not thinking that. You're just thinking,
no.
what,
Yeah, and as
the
adult teacher me, I know for a fact because this particular person, if they were making they were making those comments, like not to compare, but if we were comparing back then, this person was much bigger than I was at the time. So I believe that was projection of insecurities, and yeah, they probably were hurting. So
and maybe
um,
even just jealousy that you had the confidence to do it.
yeah, maybe. And so yeah,
I remember
that's very
this.
valid and real.
Yeah. I remember this girl, her name was Lauren. She was a grade older than me, and her parents were really wealthy. And she was probably like a 12 or a 13, something like that. But she didn't give a fuck. Like she wore whatever she wanted and always had the trendiest clothes and whatever. But the amount of people that were like, she's so fat. She's such a fat bitch. And I'm like, "Are you sure you're not just mad that, like, she can go out and buy the new clothes and she's, like, okay wearing it, and the whatever?" And it was like, even the most recently, Taylor Swift song, and again, just being a human, I guess, people just love to take shots, I don't know. But it's that song, Honey, and she's like, anytime, someone would say things to me, it was always in, like, the most derogatory way, and she's like, "I was standing in the bathroom and you said, the only other time I heard honey was when someone was like, "Honey, that skirt doesn't fit." It's like, you're telling me my skirt didn't fit me.
Mhm.
And now she's like, when I hear honey, it's actually like said in such a nice, loving way, but I'm not used to hearing that because when I was told I was lovely, it was like you're making fun of my VMA dress or what, you know what I mean? Just like the ability to comment. And it's like, even from like that perspective of, okay, so she's this tall, beautiful woman and she's in the bathroom being told, honey, that skirt doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right,
okay,
it doesn't
so
matter, really. You
it
can
really
be
does, like, it really doesn't.
there's
I guess
always
it's
people who are just they wanna have something to say, and if only we could just focus more of that
right,
into some
right.
positivity, and some construction to support other people.
Yeah. Well, and I think that has to show that, like, it has to come from a certain kind of person because I'm just like, I could never think about saying something like that to someone. Like I've always
Mhm.
been like, how can I uplift people? What genuine thing can I say to them? Because I really mean it and feel it. But it's like, it's just the same concept of like, why would you go on and like review a book shitty? Just
Mhm.
don't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Even if you
like,
I think my take on that is, like, if you don't like it, you can say something, but why? I don't know, I just feel like it's better to only speak on the things that are good and
yeah, I mean, there's always going to be things that don't, and whatnot. But yeah, so,
yeah, unless they're, like, super problematic and hurting someone, then, of course, we're probably gonna critique it, but yeah, just don't be a hater to be a hater, like, get a hobby.
right. Yeah. And I loved reading the progression in this story. And I definitely, after 18 pages, I was like, okay, Renee, what's happening here? Are we turning this into a novella? What's going on? Because you left me, I felt like on a cliffhanger. Like I could see a whole book coming from this
I
of
thought
just,
about it.
oh my
At
God,
some point,
love
yeah,
it.
and I was trying to think, "Okay, where would I expand and what places?" And so maybe, like, just dip my toes in and see if there are, you know, readers for this type of story, and I think so far there are people who it resonate with, and, I
Gave, it gave me sort of like vibes of like the craft.
interesting.
Like, well, the aspect of, like, where that girl that's so nasty and mean,
Yeah.
that, like, she starts, like, having all these issues, and I'm kinda like but, like, in a reverse
Oh,
format.
I see what you're saying, yeah. And
Yeah, where I'm
I
like,
wrote the last image before, like, it came to me before I was finished writing the story, I hope that came through. I don't wanna say too much about it. I think it's kind of like a
no,
little reveal, but
that's why I'm not saying too much, but it was very like, oh, I could see a whole thing happening with this. Like there's so much of people like if you like stuff with mean girls, like this is a great story for you to read,
mhm,
in terms of like if I were to be a personal algorithm, right? If you liked the stuff, like I said with the craft, it's like not necessarily in the witchy way, but in like the Y2 kind of vibes of, clueless. I think,
yeah.
Britney Spears, just, anything at that time frame that you're digging back into that, but also just I mean, I love that song by I Know Victoria's Secret. It's like how much that exposed. There's just, I don't know. We could probably spend a whole time having a dissertation on this and all the different things that come with it. But I mean, the
Oh, yeah,
fact of the matter
there's a
is
lot to be said, and I think I was thinking,
to
okay,
unpack.
more of her experience of, like, being in her body, describing what that is, because I not a lot of space to do that, I guess, in, like, a short story, but I think it'll
Yeah, I
come
mean, I
up.
would
If
love to
it's
hear
not
more about, like, her confidence, like, the preparation,
mhm.
how the thing went, and just, like but I love it just as it is right now. If you don't expand upon it, it's great. It really is great.
And I think thank you, for saying that, and I think that those things will probably come up in other ways and different things that I write just because there's a few things. There's grief, right, in my life that I think needs to be channeled in some way for myself, and then this is just such a close experience that there's a lot of layers to unpack, so, yeah.
And then, you and I talk at different times, like on and off offline, but I know you go to Zumba now, and it seems
Yeah.
like you just really love to move your body. Like dance just makes you happy now. And like that to me is such a moving from where this book took place and using some of that personal experience to here you are just like taking good care of yourself. Like how much joy does that give you moving from your younger self to your older self to know like I go and move my body in joy.
Yeah, so much joy. I've been a little
Oh, yeah, because you bring up
inconsistent.
the Tybo. That's what I wanted to say.
The Tybo.
Renee,
Okay. Okay, so
Renee,
I
let me tell
actually
you something.
I loved Tybo, I did.
Uh-huh.
I think I might do it again, honestly, like, it was pretty effective for, like, cardio health, but and it was fast, I liked it, but I would make my friends do it with me, and then we would, like, do the choreography to the music video on my dock because the dock moved, and I was like, "We're gonna have better balance, but we have to do Tybo first," and I was a little too focused, but that was a moment, Tybo.
It was a huge moment, and I remember the first time I went and took a Tybo class, it was like, I swear to God, like Tybo, or Tabata at the same time where it's like,
Mhm.
hurry up and get this shit done really fast. Ninth grade, definitely remember The next day, first time in my whole life, I had hives all over my whole body. Didn't even know I could
Oh
get
my
hives.
gosh.
Exercise induced hives. Overdid it.
Overdid it.
Overdid it. Didn't warm up. Like the instructor was just like, and so no, I think it's a great thing. Like, and I think you're right. Like it's super effective. But when I went to that class, like that's what I think when you said Tybo, I'm like, I starts twitching like because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be shown that I can't keep up with this, that I'm doing and I'm like, I'm dying. But I always love like what was it? The Buns of Steel tapes, the VHS tapes.
Okay, I know of those, I
That
didn't do those.
that's like basically Pilates
Yeah, and
is
that's
what he was
really a
doing, and
healthy
baby,
way.
those are effective, and I remember saying to because I'm like in my I'm like 12th grade, I'm working really hard, I've slimmed down, like I said, I'm running, I'm doing the buns of steel, like all that kind of stuff. It was so great. I remember saying to my brothers and like their football friends, and I was like, I will pay y'all to do this video with me. Again, we're on VHS tape, right? If y'all can get through, I'll pay you blank, 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 right? And they're out here doing 2-a-days in football and they could not get through it. And it just
Wow.
shows like you're using different muscle rates.
Yeah.
So they were dying. But I mean, that's the thing where he was like, come on, we're going to squeeze these little cheeseburgers out with each push. And I was like, yes, I'm squeezing them out. It wasn't
Listen,
even like
Billy go ahead.
I don't even know his name, but it was like so motivational. And I wish I could like find that Buns of Steel tape from the OG
I'm sure it's
where
on YouTube.
oh my God, he was just fabulous and fantastic. And I mean, it really like I mean, it worked on everything and I just loved it. And so it was funny because I've been saying to Adam lately, like I'm realizing how much oh my God, perimenopause is
Yeah.
affecting my ADHD. It has really upset the apple cart. And I was like, I need to make time to exercise every day now, not for punishment, not for anything else, but for ADHD regulation, for my
Yeah.
dopamine and serotonin.
Well, you were doing really good with your walks.
I was. Well, I used to
Yeah.
walk in 2020 and 2021. I used to walk 45 minutes every day, period.
Mhm.
And then I would lift like 3 to 4 days a week as well. And I felt like the best version of myself.
Mhm.
But what felt good to me was like, I didn't even care if I said the amount of money or the weight. I was like, I look so nice in this. Like I have like the nice curves. I have nice, like my face. I mean, I look so nice. And that's because I was just caring for myself, and I was
Yeah.
fueling my body with like good proteins, good carbs, blah, blah, right? Enjoying myself. Well, then I got promoted at my job and I went to, okay, I didn't do more than 500 steps a
Mm.
day.
I know.
And I worked like 10, 12 hours and I was like, I did that for like 2 years and I was like, I'm never going to lose this. It's like who I am. And I just couldn't. And like, I think I just, the cortisol, the stress, like all that. Right. So now fast forward like 4 years, 5 years, I'm like, you know what? I want to get back to that because it was such a happy place to be walking. Like
Yeah,
that's the
it's
thing.
when
It's
you're
the
I know when you're in the
tranquility,
yeah.
the zone, baby.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I go through like phases of that. Like now it's a good time to pick it up again outside in Florida as the weather's changing. But I think, well, yeah, I mean, I think you move differently. Your body is thinking differently because you're literally doing something chemically with it. Listen,
Yeah.
Billy Blanks is still active. He has an active YouTube channel for Tybo. He does it like in the garage with some of his people, and he's got to be in his 70s, I think, maybe his late 60s, and he is still just killing it. So I'm just
I
saying, if you
love
want to try
that.
Tybo, he's on YouTube and he's posting all the time.
Can we do like an exercise party virtually? Like, is that an
Yeah, that would
option?
be fun. There's oh my gosh, during what was the name of it? During COVID, I'll have to find it. My friend Leslie and I did a couple of them because they did
I
like
wanna do that
it was like a
because
dance fitness class to like Nelly and like
perfect.
like the Southern rap, which is
Yes.
oh, like there was like a Luda class and it was just
Oh my
so
god, say
fun.
less.
Yeah, right?
And then, like, the ones where, I love to learn, like, a little bit of choreography, like, that's all fun, and the thing is, like, I love that my mental space is now, like, I do this because I love myself, and I love to exercise because I love the private, quiet time, the way that
Mhm.
I just, like, it shuts off all the noise in my brain, which is awesome. But to harken back to your dedication to yourself, how does this feel now to be the Renee you are now? And like, how safe does that younger girl feel?
I think she feels pretty safe. I think she's proud because a lot of the pieces of me that are like extroverted and working on things and like I mean this whole year has been a very new territory for me and a whirlwind and incredible. And I never thought something like this, meeting so many different people and actually finally following through with my goals to put writing out there and read more. And anyway, it's just all of that is just so me centered. It's awesome. And that, like, oh, what I was trying to say was these little parts were still present in younger me, like the creativity and the desire and stuff, but she let other things get in the way and just said, "Well, it doesn't matter, or I don't matter, or I can't, and so I won't." And then just, at various stages um of my life I said, "No, like I'm going to do it." And that's so to be able to like center that version of myself in the story, and like I've gotten through that and I can talk about it and maybe help other people understand their experience with it is that's what it's all about, right? I mean, I centered my students for so many years while also kind of working on myself, but now I'm really trying to just follow through with what else does Renee want to do and how will she do it? Not how can if she can, but how will she do it? Does that make sense? Sometimes when I talk, I'm just like all over the place.
No, that 100% makes sense. And
Okay.
I feel like I'm in this stage myself where I was like, you know what? I think I would just we had speaking of you said a flood, we had like a water break flood thing, whatever. Anyway, I have to we have like, like 500 square feet, 150 square feet, something like that in the basement. And it was finished. Well, now like the drywall is like cut up to
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
3 feet. And I'm like, I'm not paying anybody for this. I want to do it myself. Not because it's like I'm like, can I do this? And how well can I do it?
Yeah.
Because I just wanna try everything now. And, like, when you're saying, like, you're in this, like I just feel like I'm in this full bloom moment of, like, what do I like? And let me give it a try. And, I can do it as long as I wanna do it or as little as I wanna do it. But I'm like, most everything I put my mind to, pretty decent, like, not
Yeah.
like it's great, but it's not horrible. And it's like, I wanna do it. And, so I'm really looking forward to, like, 2026 to see, like, what other things am I getting into, and what
I
other
know. It's a
things am I
different
trying out?
perspective, right? It's like, okay, there's not a lot of time, but like, what can I do in this time? And I also wanted to show my students, like, this is my 17th year teaching, and I wanted to show them I have shown them this whole journey, but that you can choose a path and you can choose another path and you can do them at the same time. And it doesn't matter like how old you are. Um, you can just do it. And so some of them find it pretty
Love that.
interesting, and, I think it's a good thing
It's
to
such a
model, like, growth
I
mindset
was
and
gonna say,
not to be,
such
like,
a good role model.
corporate words, but
Yes.
just, like, keep evolving.
Mhm.
I used to think you had a certain at 25, you had to have everything figured out. Well,
Mhm.
thank God that was not the truth, although some things maybe I wish would have been, but that's okay. That like it doesn't matter. Just find the things that bring you joy and help others and just follow them. Like just do it. Just shut up and do it.
Yeah, I think that's such a motivational, such a great thing to emulate, and that, like, that you're willing to share those things. I'm sure those things will get tucked in their mind or, for different nuggets at different times of when they need it. But I mean, I've read, what is that quote? Like your first life begins,
I
the
don't
first
know.
half of your life, or like you begins, and the second half is when you realize you only get one. But it's like there's other people that say like your life doesn't begin until you're even in your 40s, and I feel like why does that resonate so much with me?
Right. And if we're lucky, I mean, we're both privileged in a lot of different ways that like we have a part two.
That's it, and I'm really trying to live it up here
Yeah.
because and I don't know if it has to do with the perimenopause of just like clarity or just like letting things of like societal expectations or maybe just finding your better friend group or knowing yourself more, maybe all of those things. Knowing myself better of like, I really love this. And just,
Mhm.
I don't know, but I'm having a great time. And that's not to say that I don't have low days because I absolutely have low days, like for sure. Low
Oh
spoon
yeah.
days
Most
and
people
just
get
all of
the
that.
get the highlight reel, but
But I don't say nasty things to myself ever
mhm.
anymore. Like I
Yeah.
never do. I just don't. I don't know. It's like I'm so glad that that doesn't happen. And it's like if I'm having a low day, it's probably because I'm just like in general, like whatever perimenopause hormones are going on, and or I overdid it somehow.
Yeah. Just tired and
Yes, but it's not because of a self-esteem or a self-confidence thing. You know what I mean? Like, sure, I can rehash certain things of like, I don't know. I was looking at, funny enough, like I was like, why did I ever date these guys in high school? And why did I ever think that they were worth anything? But it's like the amount of years I was still hung up on it until like
yeah.
now. And I'm like, okay, Rebecca, like, let's go back and visit our old self and be like, honey, like this was never like worth your, and it's very healing. I guess is what I'm saying is like, I can't believe the amount of healing moments that just continue to bubble up for me. And it sounds like through writing this story, like you got to just really own this. And I love that for you.
Yeah, because, like, I at some point, I was just like, "Enough is enough, man. Enough is enough." I'm not
Yes.
not to dismiss real, like, mental health struggles, but I dealt with them myself, but, okay, I have a choice in how I speak to myself, and I'm not saying it's perfect, like you said, like, I catch it, but I worked really hard to, like, get to this point and still continue to grow,
Yeah.
and so, like, okay, I can choose doom and gloom all the time, even though we're surrounded by a lot of doom and gloom, or I could
Yeah.
focus on like, I can try and be more intentional with those things, you know? Yeah. And I would say, like, my this whole past year was very intentional with, like, reading and finding new authors, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but, like, over a year ago, like, around September of last year, well, the flood came, and I lost, like, a lot of stuff, like, mostly everything, and so part of the reading journey has been, like, rebuilding, and that's been fun, but I didn't have any joy, and I was in a rut, and then I found, Delilah S. Dawson and Wendy Dalrymple's books, and I was, like, finally back in, like, the zone. I thought, "Oh my gosh, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like, I'm gonna channel all of my energy into this reading journey," and I've read over 100 books so far this year, which was huge for me, and then channel the writing and create a public account and just go for something new and meet new people and just enjoy the journey. And so it's been healing in that way and very fulfilling. And I really, really, really enjoy like interacting with everybody in the community and hyping them up and reading their works. And then it's just, I don't know. I don't want to sound too cheesy about it, but it's really beautiful and
It is so
I really
beautiful.
enjoy
I feel
it.
that way too. Like
Yeah.
the female, like I read for like the month of October, like just I was like indulged in all this female writing, and it was like a balm. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was like things were, and I just love like reading what other authors have written because it's like, okay, like your book was so, oh my, or your story was just like, oh my God, someone else has had this experience, right? It's like that. Me too.
Mhm.
Thank you for writing it that, and like just seeing these aspects of like in different books where it's like, I'm so glad it's being talked about. But I love that you set the goal for over 100. And that's transformative when you've read that much and the amount of stories and life that you've put into yourself. And then the amount that you've pushed out, because this is not just the only thing you've written. You also, I wanted to just touch on for a little bit about that you're part of the anthology with Death by TBR books. You want to chat about that a little bit?
Oh my gosh, what a fun, just transformative experience. I felt really honored for my little story, Best Friends Forever, to be featured. And then, like, you know, just so surreal because, of course, all of us loved that 90s nostalgia horror. And so to then be like in the same table of contents with people I really, really respect and am also like admire and in awe of was awesome. And then when we got to go to Spooktastic and
Yes.
Alessi, like, had my little name tag for me, and I didn't know that was gonna happen. That was just really fun, and with Stephanie Rose was just, very supportive. So, yeah, that was just, like, a dream come true. So I loved doing that, and that was like a just a pebble of grief horror, uh, about, wanting to trick or treat with your best friend forever, no matter what that took.
I
I
love
did
that.
I did write something I submitted to the open call. I did a Christmas horror story
Yes.
about this woman who is bound and determined to win the Christmas cookie contest in her neighborhood and not get shown up 2 years in a row. but her husband forgot the most important ingredient, and she's going to win this contest no matter what it takes. I feel like that's a trend. I'm like doing these things of like, well, no matter what it costs. So that was a fun little story.
Hey,
And then I'm just working on some other like, unfortunately, I have about 1,000 ideas, and
isn't that wonderful?
it's
That's
like
so
squirrel,
good.
squirrel, squirrel, but I really have to focus. There's 2 that I'm focusing on. I shared one in the group chat that I don't wanna talk about yet, but the other one I'm working on, I'm calling it Pout, and it's kind of like a vigilante Mary Kay meets American Mary, kind of a female rage
Ah!
novella. Yeah, so
Oh, I will be your biggest champion for that.
I'm working on that one.
I love it. I love it. I just want you to know that, like, I love that for you getting to witness that at Spooktastic because we went and just seeing that, like, you arrived a little bit after I did. I was like, I love that you've got this author tag. I hope that you're going to continue to do more signing or just like setting it up for yourself. Like, is that part of your 2026?
Heck yeah. I mean, I hope
I love
so
it.
if I can get something out.
But it's like you do have you have two things out
I
now,
know
my
I just
dear.
have to like I just have to like finish some stuff. But,
Yeah.
and I just love attending also and,
It's the best.
like meeting well, you guys I met at Books and Brew and then meeting like Vanessa and Rebecca White, and finally in person, right? And
Right.
connecting with Rachel Harrison and
Yep.
just, RJ Joseph, like I've met her a few times now and
She's
like Haley Newland, like
incredible.
I could just go on and on.
I know.
I love
I
watching
know.
everybody else, like, in their element, and I made these little, little gift bag well, I think I gave you one, like, little
You
jewelry and
did.
note.
And I loved it. You were so thoughtful.
I just wanted to, show, like, a little appreciation to some folks. But, yeah, I just love, like, being in that space and, seeing everybody's work and what they're doing,
Mhm.
and, yeah, very fun. I don't think I'm gonna be able to afford, AuthorCon, actually, but I am going to Stoker.
I am so happy for you. Like it is a lot, of
Yeah,
planning and money and it's not an inexpensive like hobby or,
right.
anything to do like that. But I mean just for example, like the spooktastic like that panel of women
Oh
that were
gosh.
speaking. I mean, it was like it was one of my highlights of the year, of just being with it was, Tanya, Wendy, Jenny Kiefer, Nessa Montalban, Mo Asher, and who am I
I think
forgetting?
RJ was on
RJ
that panel.
Joseph. Yeah. And it was like, it was just amazing. I mean, just powerhouse women of just like what they're writing. And I loved it. And just, I think for you, Renee, like it's such a creative, like just to be around and hear it and see it and then both participate and to be someone that's pushing things out too. It probably like feeds both things that you need.
Yeah, I'm just really proud that I'm actually trying, because I put it off for so long.
I'm proud of you for doing it, and I
Thanks.
know that I've talked to you before about, like, I've wanted to do it and you've encouraged me, like, you're
Yeah.
like, there's a room at the table, there's a seat and I love that, and, so I appreciate you joining today. Where can we find you? I love your screen name, I always say that, but please share a little bit of that where we can find you, and, let's hear about, anything else that you wanted to tag on for as we close out.
Well, I pretty much just use Instagram. So Renee Writes Deliciously is my handle. I do have TikTok, but I'm not very good at it. I'm trying to learn how to make a website. I should probably ask for some help, but all of this stuff is like learning a new language to me. So ReneeThomasin.com, I think it exists, but there's nothing on, nothing on.
Got it, got it.
And then my email is reneethomasin at gmail.com, which, by the way, if I'm sending you emails, apparently they're all going to people's spam folder. So,
Yes, I've got
yeah,
mine in spam, so
don't know
okay.
why. But yeah, just Instagram.
You're a spammy girl, Renee. Well, it was a pleasure. We will continue to support you as you write and do more things. Please come back on and um everybody please give this story a read. It is 18 pages of Y2K goodness and Renee will have you hung and I think that you'll be commenting to her to say please do the novella
Aw,
because we want
thank you.
more. Yes. Well, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Bye bye.
Bye.